Hello, friends. I'm so excited to be here for math today. I know that yesterday Mrs. Torres talked to you about the fact that we are starting a brand new unit this week. And that unit is all about being able to count by ones to 100. We're going to get all the way to 100. But today we're going to focus on counting from 1 to 30 by ones. And I'm going to show you some things that help us remember how we're going to count from 1 all the way to 30. Okay, so I want to show you. Oh, before I get started, I know that yesterday Mrs. Torres also talked to you about our important vocabulary words. I think there were 4 of them, right? One of them was the hundreds chart, which we will look at a lot. You'll look at pieces of the hundreds chart, and then we'll look at the whole 100s chart, which has all of the numbers on it, 1 all the way up to 100. But she also talked to you about the decade numbers. And if you remember, she said that a decade was 10 years. So when we talk about the decade numbers, we're really counting by tens, which you already know how to do. You know how to count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 110, 120. I skipped one. Do you know which one I skipped? You know why I skipped it? Because I sang it in a different tune than you already know, right? I think Mrs. Torres taught you a different tune. But now it's mixed up in my brain and I'm only getting that tune in my head no matter how many times that I try. So maybe, I'm gonna have to talk to her, don't you think? I'm gonna have to figure this out. But yes, we count by tens and those are the decade numbers. She also talked to you about columns and rows. And I think that you played a game about columns and rows where you got to stand up straight for a column and lay down flat for a row. So you would stand up straight for a column. I'm using my twistables to help. Columns, rows, columns, rows, right? I'm pretty sure that you did that yesterday because I know that I saw some of our friends send us videos of them playing that game, right, Gab? I saw you. Yeah, that looked like a lot of fun. It was a silly game, right? Totally fun to learn about columns and rows. Now, today I made this number strip that goes from 1 all the way to 30, but it's just one row that goes from 1 all the way up to the number 30. And I'm going to show it to you. I don't have a videographer like Mrs. Torres, so I'm going to have to do it all by myself. So I'm going to turn my screen around and show you this strip. Look it comes from this end of my table all the way down to that end of my table. Now, that's just not manageable. It's way too long. I can't hold it. It's too floppy. I can show you it just by having my screen there. I have to move my screen all over the place. So I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to show you how, when I cut my number strip, it's going to start to look like the beginning of the hundreds chart. So here I go. I have my trusty scissors, my classroom scissors here, and I'm going to snip it right after the number 10. Remember those decade numbers? 10, what comes after 20? 10. That's not what I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask what came after the 10. So we have 10, and then after 10, when we're counting our decade numbers, is 20. So I'm going to cut it right after that 20. Silly Mrs. Bjorkman. And then right after our 20, when we're counting those decade numbers, 10, 20, 30, right? My next row should end with that 30. So let's turn this around again and show you what I have here. Okay, so I have my rows. I line them up so that my decade numbers are right underneath each other, right? Okay. And then I have 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. And really, my numbers are also in columns. Look, These line up, these line up, these line up. Huh, interesting. Wonder if you're starting to notice some things about these numbers. I notice that in this row, all of my numbers start with a 1. What do we call those numbers that start with a number 1? Numbers in the teens. Yeah, numbers in the teens, they start with a 1. A 1 and a 1 is 11. A 1 and a 2, 12. A 1 and a 7, 17. A 1 and a 9, 19, right? So this is going to be my tens row because there is 1 10 in the beginning of each of those numbers. 1 10 plus 1 more, 1 makes 11. 1 10 plus 4 ones is 14. 1 10 plus 8 ones is 18. So this is the tens row because all of these numbers start with a 10. And then this is my 20s row because all of my numbers start with 2 10s. And 2 10s, 10 plus 10 is 20. So this is my 20s row. Make sense? It's a lot of information, I know. So over here we have our decade numbers. 10 plus 10 more is 20, plus 10 more is 30. 10, 20, 30. Interesting, right? And if you look down in this column, these all end with 1. These all end with 2. These all end with 3. These all end with 4. And so on all the way up. You're going to get to see a little bit more of that once we open up our math pages for today. So when we read a number chart, we always read from the left to the right, just the way that we read a book. And then when we get to the end, we swing back to the next line and read from the left to the right again. Now, some of you might already know what comes in the next row below that 30. But for today, we're just going to go to the 30 together. You can talk about that with your grown-ups, though. If you know already what's going to be in the next row, go for it. See if you can tell your grown-ups what might come next. Okay? So now I'm going to share my screen for the first page of our math lesson today, your math activities, and it's page 499. And I'm going to go over that page with you, and then we'll go over a couple more problems, and then the rest you're going to do on your own because I think you can do it. You're super smart mathematicians. So here it comes. I'm going to share my page 499. There it is. And we are going to count from 1 all the way up to 30, and I'm going to show you as we count together, I'm going to point so that you can see how I go from left to right. There's my marker. How I go from left to right, and then I swing back around to start the next row. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to swing back around. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then I swing back to the beginning of the next line. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And then I'm going to put my star on 30. You can color it in. You can put an X on it. You can make a little star on it. But that's where we're going to stop today, on that number 30. And notice the same thing on this chart as I was showing you on the one that I cut mine into strips. We have 3 rows, we have columns, and you can take some time to look at what you notice in those rows and columns. Okay? All right. I'm going to slide right on down to page 500, our next page. And I put my star on there, undo my star, go back to my mouse, and slide on down. All right, so this is page 500. Now, on these pages, you're going to notice that there's going to be squares that are missing a number. So you're going to figure out what that missing number is, and I want you to write it right inside the box. Okay, so let me get my marker. I'm going to do that. And you're going to write the number that's missing right inside the box. So I see a 1 and a 5. That's 15. So this must be a 1 and a 6. And I know that a 1 and a 6 is 16. Yes, a 1 and a 6 is 16. And then I'm going to come over to these numbers over here on the right side, and I see the number 7. That's not the number I wrote in that box. Here's the number 14. That's not the number I wrote in that box. Here's the number 16, a 1 and a 6, and that is the number that was missing that I wrote in the box, so I'm going to circle that number 16. Okay, let's do the next one together as well. Okay, so I notice that the first 2 rows are filled, 1 through 10, 10, 20, 21, 22, 20, oh, I know that 3 comes after 2, 23. Okay, so, a 1 and a 4 is 14, 23, and a 1 and a 2 is 12. No, I wrote 23 because I wrote that there was a 2 first. So I'm going to circle this number 23. That was the number that was missing. Okay. Now, if you're having a hard time figuring out what that missing number is, go back to the beginning and start counting. You can do that. That's fine. If you need help to start counting to get in the rhythm and to know what comes next, please do go back and count by ones, because that's our main goal, is to count by ones all the way to 30. Okay, so I'm going to clear what I have written, and then I'm going to slide up just so that I can show you the next problem. I'm not going to do this one with you, the next 2 problems. I'm not going to do these with you because I think that you can do them all on your own. So you're going to look for the missing number, write it in, and then circle the number that you wrote over here. Find the missing number, figure out what it is and write it in, and then over here choose the one that you wrote and put a circle around it. Make sense? Pretty easy, I think. Now, one of the things that you can do on these pages as well, and you'll see the directions at the bottom say it, and you can see up here how this part is shaded. After you fill in your number, start counting from that number. So I would start counting and coloring in my boxes. 16, 17. Let me get my colors. So I would go, okay, I filled out my 16. And then I will color it in. Use my orange because we all know that's my favorite. So I will color in 16, 17, 18. You can color nicer than I can. 19, 20. And I'm going to color in my boxes all the way up to 30. 21, 22, 23, 24. My mouse pen doesn't work as well as your regular coloring, does it? 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So you're going to count on from the number that you wrote in the box. All right. Let's go to the next page and see what they have in store for us on the next page. So for number 1 on this page, you're going to do exactly the same thing. Write the number, circle the number, and then count on from that number all the way up to 30. Number 2, I wanted to point out to you because look at, there's 3 missing numbers. And I wanted to show you this because I don't want you to be confused. You have to circle the group of 3. So it will either be 16, 17, 18 that you'll circle, or it could be 26, 27, 28 that you'll circle, or it could be 17, 18, 19 that you'll circle. You will circle the group of numbers that are missing from this space here, and then you'll count on from that number. So make sure you circle all 3 numbers in the group. Number 3 is asking you to find and circle the number 23, which I think that you can do that all on your own. So you're just going to find and circle that number 23. Finally, on this page, the very last page that you have to do for today, page 502, they're showing you a calendar. And on this calendar is the month of, can I hear it? The month of June. Good. And you're going to have to figure out what numbers are hidden behind these pictures. So you might have to start at 1 and count to figure out which numbers are hidden behind those pictures. So for the flag, what number could be underneath this flag? Is it 6? If it is, circle it. Is it 18? If that's the number you think, you're going to circle that number. Is it 14? Might be. Circle that number. And then you're going to do the same for the hat and for the balloons. Okay? And then it says to underline the sticker that covers the last missing date. So which one covers the last missing date? Is it the flag? Is it the hat? Or is it the balloons? Which one is closest to 30? Which one is the highest number? Okay. Does that make sense? I hope so. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask your grown-ups, and they can either ask Mrs. Torres and I, or you can send us a message and ask us your questions. Make sure that you do your best work, because 1 point for doing the work, an extra point for doing your best, right? And then when you're all done and you feel up to it, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be the next day, it could be in 5 days, whenever you're ready. Mrs. Torres and I challenge you to take a video of yourself counting from 1 all the way to 30, counting by ones. Okay, and that's extra points. So if you can do that, extra points. All right, my friends, I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. And I hope that you have a great day. Good luck on your math.